Hey everybody, here we go. It's the Trading Post again, and as you can see, me and Noodle got our tinfoil hats on. You're in for a treat this episode. Episode 12, Bermuda Triangle. All right, this may have to be broken down into a couple episodes because there's a lot going on. But yeah, there's a lot. Okay. I'm going to try and run through this. We got a lot to go through. Okay? And if you want me to make this I don't know if I'm going to make it a two-part series or not. I don't know. I probably should. There's just so much information on this one. All right? Anyways, I thought you guys would like to see my buddy Noodle with his little tinfoil hat on. And I got mine. I tried to make it like a Viking helmet type deal with the horns. I don't know. It just looks like it's some screwed up hillbilly hat. Anyways, we're having fun here. You know, that's what it's about on this channel, man. We're having fun. We don't care what people think. Screw what they think. Throw caution to the wind. We're going to do our thing. That's exactly what we're doing. Okay, hey, man, you can sit right here. You can hang tight. But anyways, everybody loves the Bermuda Triangle. Why? Why do they love the Bermuda Triangle so much? Well, it's simple. There's so much mystery to it. So many theories, conspiracy theories, and this and that surrounds it. It's just mysterious. It's no wonder everybody loves it, you know? Listen, we got to get started. Hey, you better... What are you doing? Come here, you troublemaker. Get up here. Behave yourself. Anyway, let's get started because this is a long one, all right? And depending on where I'm running at, we may have to try and cut it into two parts. And then I also got another one that's going to coincide with this topic. I may do it next because they kind of, you know what I mean? They're like right here. Anyways, let's get started. I've been BSing long enough. But the point is, y'all, let's get into this. Let's get to the truth. Let's find out what's up. Okay? Let's try and figure our things out. The Bermuda Triangle, also known as the Devil's Triangle, is an urban legend focused on a loosely defined region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean where a number of aircraft and ships are said to have disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The idea of the area as uniquely prone to disappearances arose in the mid-20th century, but most reputable sources dismiss the idea that there is any mystery. Now, see, I want to touch up on this so you guys understand and you know what the hell's going on. All right, I'm going to do the skeptics side of things first. That's what we're starting with, just to give you a kind of a premise of it. Okay, we're going to do the skeptics thing, then we're going to do the conspiracy theories thing, right? So we're going to cover all our bases this time. Ain't nobody going to BS us. We got the facts, we got the information, we're going to go through it all. And we're going to determine what we want to determine. Whatever we think our truth is, right? Because that's what we do here. Anyways, 1 second here. Anyhow, let's go ahead and try and decide that decide what we want about each case, right? And I mean, you can find good points on both sides, skeptic or not. But that's up to you to find. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue on with this because we got a long way to go, y'all. We got a long way. You better strap in for this shit because it's going to be a minute. You know what I mean? Origins. The earliest suggestion of unusual disappearances in the Bermuda area appeared in a September 17th, 1950 article, published in the Miami Herald by Edward Van Winkle Jones. That's one hell of a name. 2 years later, Fate magazine published Sea Mystery, A Tour Back Door. a short article by George Sand covering the loss of Flight 19, a group of five U.S. Navy Grumman TBM Avenger torpedo bombers on a training mission. Sand's article was the first to lay out the now familiar triangular area where the losses took place, as well as the first to suggest a supernatural element to the Flight 19 incident. Flight 19 alone would be covered again in the April 1962 issue of American Legion magazine. All right, I'm giving you all, I really dug deep. You understand? That's why this is running so damn long, because I really did my due diligence to try to get you everything I can, but there's just so much, y'all. There's so much stuff. If you want a second part or a third part or whatever, I'm going to try and I may have to break it in two. I probably have to break it into two, and then the other subject that's coinciding with this might have to be the third episode that goes. You see what I'm saying? I'll have like 2 or 3 episodes, whatever it is. Anyhow, I gotta catch. Give me a second here. All right, here we go. Where was I at? The Avenger torpedo bombers on a training mission. Sand's article was the first to lay out the now familiar triangular area, okay, we went through all that, as the first to suggest a supernatural element to the Flight 19 incident. Flight 19 alone would be covered again in April 1962 issue of American Legion magazine. In it, author Alan W. Eckhart wrote that the flight leader had been heard saying, "We are entering white water. Nothing seems right. We don't know where we are. The water is green, no white." He also wrote that officials at the Navy Board of Inquiry stated that the planes flew off to Mars. Obviously, I'm sure they was being, hunky-dory with it, whatever. But in February 1964, Vincent Gaddis wrote an article called "The Deadly Bermuda Triangle" in Argosy, saying Flight 19 and other disappearances were part of a pattern of strange events in the region. The next year, Gaddis expanded this article into a book, Invisible Horizons. Other writers elaborated on Gaddis's ideas, such as John Wallace Spencer in Limbo of the Lost in 1969. You can check these out if you need to. Charles Berlitz, The Bermuda Triangle in 1974, and Richard Weiner, I think it's called, The Devil's Triangle, 1974. Okay. Many others, all keeping to some of the same supernatural elements outlined by Eckhart. Okay? The Gaddis let's go to the triangle area. The Gaddis Argosy article delineated the boundaries of the triangle, giving it vertices as Miami, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda. Subsequent writers did not necessarily follow this definition. Some writers gave different boundaries and vertices to the triangle, the triangle, with the total area varying from 500,000 to 1,510,000 square miles. Indeed, some writers even stretch it as far as the Irish coast. That's news. I never heard that, but that's freaking crazy. Okay? Because it fits into their stats. So they extend it out, which that's, I guess there's really no way you could just box it in. Who knows? Maybe the whole world's a damn triangle. We don't know. Do you know? I don't. That's why I got this on. I'm trying to protect myself. Me and Noodle. Anyways, give me 1 second. I just need a break here. I'm sorry. Anyhow, where was we at here? Some writers we already went through it. Indeed, some writers even stretch it as far as the Irish coast. Consequently, the determination of which accidents occurred inside the triangle depends on which writer reported them. which that would make sense, right? Because some reporters are going to stretch it to the Irish coast. Some of them's going the Irish coast. Some of them's going to stretch it to wherever the hell they're going to stretch it to. It's that simple. You know, there's always a bias. Generally, I mean, there are my personal opinion. There's always a bias, one way or another. But it takes a really hard individual to be a neutral, to lay out the facts, to not try to be biased in their writing whatsoever. And I'm sure there are a few of them. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm sure maybe you might, but I don't know. I mean, it's human nature. Like, obviously, if you have an opinion and you're biased in that situation, if you think UFOs exist, you're going to be biased. If you don't and you're a skeptic, you're going to think, no, they don't exist, and you're going to lean in that direction. Right? That's my opinion. I don't know. Take it for what it's worth. I mean, hey, throw it in the comments. Tell me what you think. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and go to the criticism. All right? The criticism of these people that they're thinking it's the paranormal area. You know what I mean? Like Larry Cush, author of The Bermuda Triangle Mystery Solved, 1975. He argued that many claims of Gaddis and subsequent writers were exaggerated, dubious, or unverifiable. Cush's research revealed a number of inaccuracies and inconsistencies between Berlitz's accounts and statements from eyewitnesses, participants, and others involved in the initial incidents. Cush noted cases where pertinent information went unreported, such as the disappearances of round-the-world yachtsman Donald Crowhurst, which Berlitz had presented as a mystery, despite clear evidence to the contrary. Another example was the ore carrier, recounted by Berlitz as lost without a trace 3 days out of the Atlantic port, when it had been lost 3 days out of a port with the same name in the Pacific Ocean. So basically, what he's claiming is there's another port in another area in the Pacific Ocean, not the Atlantic. And this guy's claiming that Berlitz is wrong because he didn't research his stuff properly, right? So he's saying it's coming out of the Atlantic Ocean from that port, but it's actually coming out from the Pacific Ocean in that port. Whether this is all true, I don't know. I didn't verify any of this. Trust me, I tried to verify as much as I can. There's a lot here, y'all. Okay, like I said, this is going to be like a 2. I mean, we could run this for 3-4 episodes, probably, right? But we're at 13 minutes, and I'm barely through this, right? So let's get this show on the road. Cush also argued that a large percentage of the incidents that sparked allegations of the Triangle's mysterious influence actually occurred well outside of it. Often his research... Hold on, let me pause for 1 second. Y'all need to stay till the end. That's when the good stuff comes in. I'm telling you now. I mean it. Stay here till the end of this one. You're going to enjoy it. Often his research was simple. He would review period newspapers of the dates of reported incidents and find reports on possibly relevant events like unusual weather that were never mentioned in the disappearance stories. Okay, so that's legit. You know, that's cool. Dude's looking into the weather patterns, right? That would make sense, don't you think? I mean, hell, you got to see what is falling in line. Okay, what's all the common occurrences with all these cases? What is going on? It's the same as with the 411 disappearances with David Paulides. You know, he went down the line and he said, "Hey, this is what's going on. These are the ones that they're strange. They're abnormal." We got to go ahead and we got to come down through here and we got to see what the similarities are, right? So it's the same thing as what this guy's doing, okay? So you can't knock him for being a skeptic, right? He wants to find a logical answer. That's his goal, right? So Cush concluded, give me 1 second. Okay, so Cush concluded that the number of ships and aircraft reported missing in the area was not significantly greater, proportionally speaking, than in any other part of the ocean, right? So basically he's saying there's no massive difference of disappearances in that certain area as opposed to the rest of the ocean, right? So that's supposedly what he found, his conclusion to it. Well, number 2, this is what else he found. In an area frequented by tropical cyclones, the number of disappearances that did occur were for the most part neither disproportionate, unlikely, nor mysterious. Sorry. I fumbled that one up, right? Dropped the ball on that, guys. Sorry. Okay, number 3. Furthermore, Berlitz and other writers, this foil's digging in my head. Writers would often fail to mention such storms or even represent the disappearance as having happened in calm conditions when meteorological records clearly contradict this. Number 4, the numbers themselves had been exaggerated by sloppy research. A boat's disappearance, for example, would be reported, but its eventual, if belated, return to port may not have been. So basically he's saying they're reporting the missing part, but they're not reporting the return of it, which is wrong. You know, that's deceptive. It's not right. They're doing it for, basically back in that day, that's kind of like trying to get clicks, likes, all that crap like we're doing now in the modern day. That basically is what he's saying these people are doing. Okay? I'm sure there was some that was doing it because there's some that's doing it today. But, we have to judge that. You know what I mean? Our own individual thought process on it. Number 5. Some disappearances had, in fact, never happened. One plane crash was said to have taken place in 1937 off Daytona Beach, Florida, in front of hundreds of witnesses. And according to this guy, it didn't. I have to dig deeper. I mean, trust me, guys, I dug a lot, but I couldn't dig into each and every account for everything. There's a lot. Far more than you'd imagine. Okay, let's go to number 6. The legend of the Bermuda Triangle is a manufactured mystery, perpetuated by writers who either purposely or unknowingly made use of misconceptions, faulty reasoning, and sensationalism. That's his other point. Okay, now I got something in here that says this is just a little tidbit on the side throughout my going down the rabbit hole deal. In a 2013 study, the Worldwide Fund for Nature identified the world's 10 most dangerous waters for shipping, but Bermuda Triangle was not among them. Okay, that was something that was thrown in the midst with this stuff. Further responses. Okay, when the UK Channel 4 television program, The Bermuda Triangle, in 1992, was being produced by John Simmons of Geofilms for the Equinox series, the marine insurance market Lloyd's of London was asked if an unusually large number of ships had sunk there. Okay? Lloyd's does not charge higher rates for passing through the area. That's strange. You would think they would if it was an unusually high incident rate. I mean, considering it's an insurance company, right? Pause for thought for that. Anyhow, United States Coast Guard records confirm their conclusion as well. So, in fact, the number of supposed disappearances is relatively insignificant considering the number of ships and aircraft that pass through on a regular basis. So, my assumption of this, according to what we got to now, my assumption of this is they say, it's, you had 50 planes and 20 ships went down. There's literally thousands that go through within a month. Okay, so it's an insignificant number to them. So that's for you all to try and figure out whether you think it's insignificant or not. Let's continue on here. We got a lot to cover here, y'all. The Coast Guard is also officially skeptical of the triangle. Nothing that they collect and publish through their inquiries, much documentation contradicting many of the incidents written about by the triangle authors. In one such incident involving the 1972 explosion and sinking of the tanker VA Fog, the Coast Guard photographed the wreck and recovered several bodies, in contrast with one triangle author's claim that all bodies had vanished, with the exception of the captain, who was found sitting in the cabin at his desk, clutching a coffee cup. In addition, VA Fog sunk off the coast of Texas, not Bermuda. Okay? Nowhere near the commonly accepted boundaries of the triangle. That's interesting. Little tidbit for you guys to know on right there. Okay, now we're going to go to Nova Horizon. The Nova Horizon episode, The Case of the Bermuda Triangle, aired on June 27th, 1976. It was highly critical, stating that when we've gone back to the original sources or the people involved, the mystery evaporates. Science does not have to answer questions about the triangle because those questions are not valid in the first place. Ships and planes behave in the triangle the same way they behave everywhere else in the world. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, you guys. I have to present it all to you. You understand? I don't want to deflate your balloon. I'm deflating my own with this crap. But this is what I found, right? So let's present it all, and then in the end, we're going to come to our own conclusions, right? Skeptical researchers. Skeptical researchers such as Ernest Taves and Barry Singer have noted how mysteries and paranormal are very popular and profitable. Okay? Basically, they're trying to say that's definitely a reason for them to withhold information or whatever, to try and sell more books, to try and get more notoriety, to get more stuff published in the newspaper, whatever. This has led to the production of vast amounts of material on topics such as the Bermuda Triangle. They were able to show that some of the paranormal material is often misleading or inaccurate. Excuse me. But its producers continue to market it. Accordingly, they have claimed that the market is biased in favor of books, TV specials, and other media that support the triangle mystery, and against well-researched material if it espouses a skeptical viewpoint. Okay, all right. I'll take that. I can soak that one up. How about you guys? All right, let's go to Ben Radford. Okay. Sorry, my eyes are watering. Benjamin Radford. I think I got allergies, y'all. Anyhow, Benjamin Radford, an author and a scientific paranormal investigator, noted in an interview on the Bermuda Triangle that it could be very difficult locating an aircraft lost at sea due to the vast search area. And although the disappearance might be mysterious, that did not make it paranormal or unexplained. Okay? So he's, and this is the dude he's a paranormal investigator, and he's saying this, right? So he's just saying, it doesn't make it paranormal or unexplained because they vanished. It just means they haven't found it, right? I mean, think about this. If you got hundreds of nautical miles that you have to search in the ocean on the floor to find this wrecked plane or crashed ship or whatever that's disappeared, that's a lot of search area. I mean, we have a tough time trying to find people that's missing in the woods in acres. Nautical miles is a lot. It's a lot. Anyways, let's continue on. Radford further noted the importance of double-checking information as the mystery surrounding the Bermuda Triangle had been created by people who had neglected to do so. Good for him. This dude, I like him. I think he's very thorough in his research. It sounds. Okay? And even though he's a paranormal investigator, he's not jumping to that conclusion right away. He's doing it logically. He's got the logic side, and he's got the other side, I'm sure. Obviously, or he won't be doing what he's doing. Here we go. Hypo-explanations. That's the subtitle. Persons accepting the Bermuda Triangle as a real phenomenon have offered a number of explanatory approaches. Okay? Here's one of them. Paranormal explanations. Triangle writers have used a number of supernatural concepts to explain the events. One explanation pins the blame on leftover technology from the mystical lost continent of Atlantis. Sometimes connected to the Atlantis story is the submerged rock formation known as Bimini Road. We've all heard of that, I'm sure, by now. Off the island of Bimini in the Bahamas, which is in the triangle by some definitions. Followers of the purported psychic Edgar Cayce take his prediction that evidence of Atlantis would be found in 1968. As referring to the discovery of the Bimini Road, believers describe the formation as a road, a wall, or other structure, but the Bimini Road is of natural origin, according to whoever put this in there. Some hypothesize that a parallel universe exists in the Bermuda Triangle region, causing a time-space warp that sucks the objects around it into a parallel universe, right? Others attribute the events to UFOs. Charles Berlitz, author of various books on anomalous phenomena, lists several theories attributing the losses in the triangle to anomalous or unexplained forces. Okay, well that's his thing. Let's not bash anybody. Let's not beat him. Maybe he just didn't have you got to understand, back in that day, you didn't have the internet. You didn't have Google. You couldn't go boop, 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 and try to find some stuff. You know what I mean? These people really had to do some legwork to find out what they needed to find out. They had to actually talk to the eyewitnesses. They had to do a lot of legwork, and maybe he was cut short. Maybe he didn't get, certain people didn't get to talk to the people they wanted to. You understand? So keep that in mind. That's a point to realize. Okay? Think about that. So these people may be just busting his chops. And the fact is, maybe he didn't get to talk to certain people. Maybe he did withhold information. Who knows? I mean, according to what these people are saying, he did. So maybe he did. I don't know. It's up for debate. I can't say yay or nay because I don't know offhand. Natural explanations. Compass problems are one of the cited phrases in many triangle incidents. While some have theorized that unusual local magnetic anomalies may exist in the area, such anomalies have not been found, according to whoever wrote this. Compasses have natural magnetic variations in relation to the magnetic poles, a fact which navigators have known for centuries, right? Magnetic compass north and geographic true north are exactly the same, only for a small number of places. For example, exactly the same only for a small number of places. For example, as of 2000 in the U.S., only these places on a line running from Wisconsin to the Gulf of Mexico. That's interesting. That's something new I learned. How about you? Hopefully you learned something there. But the public may not be as informed and think there is something strange about a compass changing across an area as large as the triangle, which it naturally will. Okay, all right, we'll take that one. Put that in the memory bank right there. Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream, or the Florida Current, is a major surface current primarily driven by thermohaline circulation that originates in the Gulf of Mexico and then flows through the Straits of Florida into the North Atlantic. In essence, it is a river within an ocean, and like a river, it can and does carry floating objects. It has a maximum surface velocity of about 2 meters per second or 6.6 feet per second. A small plane making a water landing or a boat having engine trouble can be carried away from its reported position by the current. Okay, that covers the distance to travel and where it's not where it was supposed to be. Okay, I get it. That's logical, right? Okay, let's move on. Human error. That's the other one. One of the most cited explanations in official inquiries as to the loss of any aircraft or vessel is human error. Human stubbornness may have caused businessman Harvey Conover to lose his sailing yacht, Revenant, as he sailed into the teeth of a storm south of Florida on January 1st, 1958. Okay. That's what I got on that one. I didn't have much more on that. Violent weather. Hurricanes are powerful storms that form in tropical waters and have historically cost thousands of lives and caused billions of dollars in damage. The sinking of Francisco de Bobadilla's Spanish fleet in 1502 was the first recorded instance of a destructive hurricane. These storms have in the past caused a number of incidents related to the triangle. Many Atlantic hurricanes pass through the triangle as they recurve off the eastern seaboard, and before the advent of weather satellite, ships often had little to no warning of a hurricane's approach. That makes a lot of sense right there. Man, that's awesome. That makes a lot of sense. A powerful downdraft of cold air was suspected to be a cause in the sinking of Pride of Baltimore on May 14, 1986. The crew of the sunken vessel noted the wind suddenly shifted and increased velocity from 20 miles per hour to 60 to 90 miles per hour. All right. Wow. That's a big jump. A National Hurricane Center satellite specialist, James Lushine, stated during very unstable weather conditions, the downburst of cold air from aloft can hit the surface like a bomb, exploding outward like a giant squall line of wind and water. Wow. We're finding out a lot of stuff today, man. I never knew this stuff. This is awesome. Let's learn some stuff, man. Let's soak it up. Now, the next one is methane hydrates. Okay, that's the next one for this logical stuff, like we're trying to get to. All right? I know it's going to be a long one, man. You guys just hang tight. I'm telling you, trust me. Hang until the end. You're going to be excited with it. All right? An explanation for some disappearances has focused on the presence of large fields of methane hydrates, a form of natural gas, on the continental shelves. Laboratory experiments carried out in Australia have proven that bubbles can indeed sink a scale model ship by decreasing the density of water. And any wreckage would be deposited on the ocean floor or rapidly dispersed by the Gulf Stream. It has been hypothesized that periodic methane eruptions, sometimes called mud volcanoes, I never heard of that, may produce regions of frothy water that are no longer capable of providing adequate buoyancy for ships. If this were the case, Such an area forming around a ship could cause it to sink very rapidly and without warning. Interesting. Publications by the USGS describe large stores of undersea hydrates worldwide. Worldwide, y'all. Worldwide. Including the Blake Ridge area off the coast of the southeastern United States. However, according to the USGS, no large releases of gas hydrates are believed to have occurred in the Bermuda Triangle for the past 15,000 years. So if they have no record of anything happen like that for 15,000 years, does that take that off the board? Does that exclude it? Or is it just something that was unknown that they did not record? That's a good question, I think. Wow, y'all. Wow. This is interesting, man. I'm really getting... This is something else. I hope you guys are really intrigued in this one. Okay, let's go into the stories, right? HMS Atalanta. I thought it was Atlanta, but it's Atalanta, according to what they wrote. Originally named HMS Juno in 1844, the tail training ship HMS Atalanta disappeared with her entire crew after setting sail from the Royal Navy Dockyard, Bermuda, for Falmouth, England, on January 31st, 1880. It was presumed that she sank in a powerful storm which crossed her route a couple of weeks after she sailed, and that her crew, being composed primarily of inexperienced trainees, may have been a contributing factor. The search for evidence of her fate attracted worldwide attention at a time, and she was alleged decades later to have been a victim of the mysterious triangle, an allegation resoundingly refuted by the research of author David Francis Rain in 1997. Okay. All right, let's see what we got here. Here's another little note for you. Connection is also often made to the 1878 loss of the training vessel HMS Eudes, which foundered after departing the Royal Navy Dockyard in Bermuda for Portsmouth on March 6th. Okay, the next one is the USS Cyclops. I'm sure a lot of us may have heard of this one. Okay, the incident resulting in the single largest loss of life in the history of the U.S. Navy, not related to combat, occurred when the collier Cyclops, carrying a full load of manganese ore and with one engine out of action, went missing without a trace with a crew of 309. Sometime after March 4th, 1918, after departing the island of Barbados. Although there is no strong evidence for any single theory, many independent theories exist. Some blaming storms, some capsizing, and some suggesting that wartime enemy activity was to blame for the loss. Okay. In addition, two of Cyclops' sister ships, Proteus and Nereus, were subsequently lost in the North Atlantic during World War II. Both ships were transporting heavy loads of metallic ore, similar to that which was loaded on Cyclops during her fatal voyage. In all cases, structural failure due to overloading with a much denser cargo than designed is considered the most likely cause of sinking. Okay, that sounds like a pretty legit logical explanation for it. But I mean, I don't know. At that time, that U.S. Cyclops, the Cyclops was back in the Civil War time. So I don't know what their, I don't exactly know what their tracking or way of finding wrecks was back then. Obviously, it wasn't as advanced as what we have now. But, I mean, okay. Yeah, it could be. I mean, it could have been overloaded and it just sunk. And they didn't have the ability to get down to where they needed to find the wreck. That's possible, you know. Okay. Next one, Carol A. Deering. Carol A. Deering, a 5-masted schooner built in 1919, was found hard aground and abandoned at Diamond Shields near Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, on January 31st, 1921. FBI investigation into the Deering scrutinized then ruled out multiple theories as to why and how the ship was abandoned, including piracy, domestic communist sabotage, and the involvement of rum runners. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I got on that one. Now we're going to go to the next one. Flight 19 is another case. Flight 19 was a training flight of 5 TBM Avenger torpedo bombers that disappeared on December 5th, 1945. While over the Atlantic, the squadron's flight plan was scheduled to take them due east from Fort Lauderdale for 141 miles, north for 73 miles, and then back over a final 140-mile leg to complete the exercise. Okay? The flight never returned to base. Okay? They never returned to base. Obviously, that's why they're on the list. The disappearance was attributed by Navy investigators to navigational error, leading to the aircraft running out of fuel. One of the search and rescue aircraft deployed to look for them, a PBM Mariner with a 13-man crew, also disappeared. That's kind of fishy. They go out to look for these people and then they disappear as well. So can we chalk that up to inexperience? Really? Think about that. I don't believe so. Personally, I don't. But that's just my opinion. Okay? Let's continue on. A tanker off the coast of Florida reported seeing an explosion and observing a widespread oil slick when fruitlessly searching for survivors. The weather was becoming stormy by the end of the incident. You know what? That brings into recall the missing 411. Isn't it funny how it's always like bad weather around the time of these disappearances? Pause for thought. Don't you think? Okay, according to the contemporaneous sources, the Mariner had a history of explosions due to vapor leaks when heavily loaded with fuel, as it might have been for a potentially long search and rescue operation. Well, that's interesting too. So, I mean, yeah, that could be a negligent issue there if that's the case. You know, for that. Wow. Star Tiger and Star Ariel. Okay. Excuse me. GAHNP Star Tiger disappeared on January 30th, 1948, on a flight from the Azores to Bermuda. GAGRE Star Ariel disappeared on January 17th, 1949, on a flight from Bermuda to Kingston, Jamaica. Both were Avro Tudor 4 passenger aircraft operated by British South American Airways. Both planes were operating at the very limits of their range, and the slightest error or fault in the equipment could keep them from reaching the small island. Okay. All right. That's another factor to throw in there. Okay. I got you. All right. So let's go to the next one. The next one is Douglas DC-3. On December 28th, 1948. Let me stop for a second right there. How many of these cases have been in December and March and April, right? It's just weird. It's like all certain months that they're hitting. I'm going to have to do some research and digging up on what the weather's like in those months around that area and see what I can find out whenever I go to do this the other episode or two, depending on how many it is, because we're at 44 minutes and I ain't even scratched the surface yet. So let's go ahead on. Okay, on December 28th, 1948, a Douglas DC-3 aircraft numbered NC-16002 disappeared while on flight from San Juan, Puerto Rico to Miami. No trace of the aircraft or the 32 people on board was ever found. A Civil Aeronautics Board investigation found there was insufficient information available on which to determine probable cause of the disappearance. Okay, let's go to the next case. Connemara 4. A pleasure yacht was found adrift in the Atlantic south of Bermuda on September 26, 1955. It is usually stated in the stories, Berlitz and Weiner, that crew vanished while the yacht survived being at sea during 3 hurricanes, right? The 1955 Atlantic hurricane season shows Hurricane Lone passing nearby between 14th and 18th of September, with Bermuda being affected by winds of almost gale force. In his second book on the Bermuda Triangle, Weiner quoted for a letter he had received from Mr. J.E. Challoner of Barbados. On the morning of September 22nd, Connemara 4 was lying to a heavy mooring in the open roadstead of Carlisle Bay. Because of the approaching hurricane, the owner strengthened the mooring ropes and put out 2 additional anchors. There was little else he could do, as the exposed mooring was the only available anchorage. In Carlisle Bay, the sea in the wake of Hurricane Janet was awe-inspiring and dangerous. The owner of Connemara 4 observed that she had disappeared. An investigation revealed that she had dragged her moorings and gone to sea. Now, it doesn't state that people was even on the boat. He may have just moored it right there and been on shore. Obviously, if he's seen it left, if he's not on it, if the captain's not on the boat, then why the hell would the crew be on it? Right? Okay. All right, I see their argument there. KC-135 Stratotankers. On August 28, 1963, a pair of U.S. Air Force KC-135 Stratotanker aircraft collided and crashed into the Atlantic 300 miles west of Bermuda. Some writers say that while the 2 aircraft did collide, there were 2 distinct crash sites, separated by over 160 miles of water. How in the hell is that possible? That don't make sense, does it? However, Cush's research showed that the unclassified version of the Air Force investigation report revealed that the debris field defining the second crash site was examined by a search and rescue ship and found to be a mass of seaweed and driftwood tangled in an old buoy. I must say, there are a lot of examples of disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle, but I had to take a devil's advocate approach on this so that way you have all the info as I do. Okay, 1977 Without a Trace is a book. 1977 Without a Trace, Flying from Andros to Miami. Then you got Bruce, Beyond the Bermuda Triangle. He wrote that. AC-136, Bruce Dad and Chuck Lafayette. And this is some of the descriptions. It's kind of broken up because I was trying to write it down really quick, and I don't know how well I did on that. But anyhow, they had an unusual cloud. There's informed weather was good, but the cloud grew. Okay? They was at 195 miles per hour. They looked back, and the cloud was like a semicircle shape, right? So the dark cloud formed in front of them right over Bimini Islands. They were 60,000 feet high on top of the cloud. There was no rain, so it wasn't like a storm. There was no rain. The cloud lit up by bright white light, not lightning. Obviously, if these guys fly, they know what the hell lightning looks like. It wasn't lightning. It was just a bright light. Okay. They took a left turn at 135 degrees for 25 minutes. The cloud continued around them and stretched 30 miles. And then they flew 13 more miles. Opening perfectly was a circular shape, the cloud was. The walls started to shrink in towards them. They felt weightlessness when they came out of the cloud. right? Electronics started to malfunction, the compass needle turning spasmodically. They could not see the ocean, only gray, basically like gray cloud or whatever. They finally got into, it was contact with Miami ground control. The plane could not be found on radar, so they said, right? They was actually able to communicate with them, but they couldn't see it on radar. So they only had, up in the air, they had 2 miles of visibility, but could not see anything like water or etc. Anything down below. So it was like they was in an electronic fog, right? Air traffic control called radio, and came back online with them, and they said they could see a craft flying over Miami Beach, but they had only been flying for roughly 34 minutes. There was no way they should have reached Miami that soon, right? It was less than 47-minute flight. So at 200 miles per hour, 47 minutes, 250 miles away, the actual direct route should have been 75 minutes. How the hell did they get there in 47? That plane only goes so fast, right? Also, they said that the fuel consumed was only half the usual amount when they got there. That's weird. It says, as far as it goes, 200 aircraft and 2,000 ships have disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle, from what I could pull up. So we're going to go ahead and come back to that one part there. We're going to go ahead and touch up on something else. This is the part I told you to wait for. AUTEC, okay? If you've never heard of AUTEC, stay tuned. AUTEC stands for Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center, right? This is military owned, military run. It's the Underwater Area 51, they call it, some people. An investigation into reports of USO and UFO activity in the vicinity of AUTEC near the Bermuda Triangle, which, by the way, that's where it's located, okay? Rumors suggest the facility is used for weapons testing and underwater research by the U.S. Navy, okay? Google says it's a laboratory in Andros Town, the Bahamas. Also, AUTEC is a laboratory that performs integrated three-dimensional aerospace trajectory measurements covering the entire spectrum of undersea simulated warfare, such as calibration, detection, and destruction. The coordinates of the facility are 24.7054 degrees north by 77.7696 degrees west. Now, I also pulled up different coordinates, and I think this is for the headquarters in Florida. I don't know. Maybe it's just another building of it or something. 24 degrees, 4220 north, 77 degrees, 469 west. That's the other coordinates. So feel free, check it out, Google Maps, whatever. Okay? You can dig into it. Let me know. Get back to me. It didn't state the depth on that one, okay? Its mission is to assist in establishing and maintaining naval ability of the United States through testing, evaluation, and underwater research. It's been in use from 1966 to the present, according to the information I found. The insignia is a circle that says Naval Underwater Systems Center. Inside that circle is another circle with a U, then a seahorse in the shape of an S, then a C, and at the bottom says AUTEC. So that's the insignia. I'm sorry I can't post the pictures on here. When I get better at this, I will. I might upgrade all my old videos whenever I get the ability to do so. Anyways, here's the background. The typical task performed at AUTEC is testing and certifying the proficiency of U.S. naval submarine captains and their crews, as well as the accuracy of their undersea weapons. The facility includes 3 test ranges: the weapon range, the acoustic range, and the forax range, all located at the tongue of the ocean, or TOTO for short. A deep ocean a deep ocean basin, approximately 100 nautical miles or 190 kilometers long by 15 nautical miles or 28 kilometers wide, with depths as great as 6,000 feet or 1,800 meters. Here's references on Autech, okay? Check this stuff out if you like. It's up to you. I'm gonna touch up on that real quick before I continue on with this and hurry up and run this episode done. Night God 333 has an episode on this on Autech. UFO Hunters on the History Channel, Season 3, Episode 8 has this specific thing on that episode, okay? NCIS Season 9, Episode The Tell revolves around Autech, okay? This is just little tidbits that I found throughout my research that they popped up, okay? Now, let's continue on. I got, I got a few pages left. So this is going to run over. The main Autech support base and downrange tracking stations are on Andros Islands in the Bahamas, just west of Nassau, and about 180 nautical miles, 333 kilometers southeast of West Palm Beach, Florida. On January 23rd, 2020, the corporation PAE Applied Technologies received roughly $32.9 million for 6 more months of facility and range maintenance and range operations support services at Autech. On August 12, 2020, the corporation Amentum received roughly $430 million for 5 years' worth of operation and maintenance of Autech. Here's a note. In Tom Clancy's Hunt for Red October, which Sean Connery plays the captain, right, of the submarine, the former Soviet submarine captain Marco Ramius, which is the real true guy of that story, he works for Autech as Mark Ramsey after his defection to the U.S. So his name was changed. So his name's Mark Ramsey, right? And here we go. It's like, here we go. We're going to do some more. I want to close it for now and stay tuned. I'll do next episode strictly on Autech if you want, but I'm not going to close it just yet. Before we close, I have to say there were plenty of eyewitness accounts in the triangle of lights in the sky or possible UFOs as well. Okay, let's touch this up. So what do you guys think, y'all, as so far? Conspiracies, huh? I mean, I don't know. There's some logical stuff. There's some conspiracy stuff that we can spitball off of right here. But let's go. We got, 3 accounts we're going to do, and then it's going to wrap this episode up. Account number 1, Christopher Columbus and the crew. During his first journey across the Atlantic Ocean in 1492, Columbus reported many strange sightings within the Bermuda Triangle. The first of these was the stars appeared to move around in the sky. Another was that he saw a light like that of a candle moving up and down in the distance. When he asked his crew to look at the light, it vanished and reappeared many times. The most unusual thing, Columbus says, that he saw was a glowing object coming out of the water and shooting toward the sky. That's weird. Okay, so let's go to strange account number 2. Account number 2 says, the Ellen Austin was a large cargo ship. The crew on board found a small boat drifting along within Bermuda Triangle. They decided that it had been abandoned. Captain Baker ordered 4 members of his crew to board the boat and sail it to New York. On the 3rd day of sailing, the crew were said to disappear from the boat. When Captain Baker ordered a new crew to board the small boat, they disappeared as well. Okay, that's all I got on that one. That one's an interesting. I could dig into that a little more. But I had a lot. Obviously, this is a long episode. Account number 3. The Greek merchant mariner recalls UFO sighting. Okay, the Greek merchant mariner radio operator Polycarp Spences had an indescribably strange and unforgettable experience while working aboard the vessel Petiti SWJC in 1978 off Bermuda. But he certainly wasn't the only person to observe these odd occurrences in the last few decades. Over the years, there have been a multitude of odd, unexplainable, and unsettling occurrences in that famed area between Bermuda in the north, the Bahamas in the south, and Miami, Florida to the west, including the disappearance of 12 U.S. Navy crew members on a seaplane patrolling there during World War II. July 10th, 1945, they had left the Banana River, Florida Naval Air Station the night before for training flight to Great Exuma in the Bahamas. The last time they were ever heard from was 1:16 a.m. in the morning. The next day, or 1:16 a.m. the next day, at a position of 25 degrees 22 north, 7734 west, near Providence Island. No trace of the crew or their aircraft has ever been found. Okay. Late that same year, another military flight with 14 airmen aboard was lost, and then the plane sent out to try and find them, carrying 13 men, was also lost, which I think we've already touched that prior to this. By some accounts, there have been as many as 155 people who have perished in the otherwise idyllic turquoise huge stretch of water east of Miami. That's a lot of people, right? Okay, account number 3. Here we go. We're going to continue on with this and try to finish this up, man. We got a little bit more. For Spetsas, the merchant mariner, the legendary dangers of that area suddenly became personal in 1978 when, in the course of his normal duties, he observed the following strange events unfold. As he recalls it, we started from Puerto Matanzas, Cuba, bound for Algiers, with an average speed of 11 miles. Shortly before noon, local time, the officers of the ship's bridge began to notice that it appeared to them that the ship was sailing at unusually high speed, but the instruments showed a constant speed of 10 to 11 nautical miles per hour. Some of my colleagues initially hypothesized maybe I had made a mistake in timing, since I was the radio operator. But that did not happen, and the ship continued to tear through the waves like a dolphin. At noon, Spence's continued, the captain asked the second officer to put a Pakistani sailor at the wheel, since he himself did not feel well. He could not lift his arms, and his body felt too heavy all over. That's strange. Soon the electrician arrived on the bridge after coming up from the engine room, upset that he had noticed that all the clocks on the boat had gone ahead 2 whole hours. Additionally, the helmsman was unable to hold a steady course because the compass, which was gyroscopic and shielded from electromagnetic fields, right, was turning like crazy. So he had to put on the autopilot, and we managed to maintain a steady course. The seasoned merchant mariner goes on to relate, but the strangest of all was something that happened a little after 5 p.m. The cook and I were playing backgammon in the smoking room when suddenly we looked back and saw to the left of the ship, or the northwest side, just a few miles away, a large white unidentified flying object in the sky. Then there appeared 2 smaller flying objects to the west of the large one, and indeed, one of them was attached to it. Experiments of Americans, I assumed. I left immediately and went to the bridge to ask full of anguish if someone else had seen these bizarre devices. Not one had noticed. However, I was sure that something strange was happening with time and how we were affected by the acceleration of the movement of the UFOs. Spence's explains, I looked at my watch and time had passed. I put the radio receiver to 500 kilohertz to fill in the calendar and heard Morse code, but it was unnaturally quick. I put out a time request signal to 15 megahertz RWM Radio Moscow and heard the answering time signals too quickly. so fast that I thought it was the station's fault. I jumped from my chair, opened the window of the chart room, and looked at the captain. I could use the Morse system, but noticed that my hands could not handle even 4 or 5 letters per minute, and it took about 2 minutes to just walk to the chair for the transmitter. Upset, I told the captain, "My hands are just not working. They're not listening to me." He replied that nobody should touch the ship's autopilot. Okay. Spence's relates that the next day the crew was discussing the strange events that had happened to everyone. A sailor complained that once he lit a cigarette, he didn't have enough time to smoke because it burned immediately. The second mate, who served on the midnight to 4 a.m. shift, had gone to his cabin and was brushing his teeth before bed. He suddenly cried out that the time had just changed to 23:40, so he did not have time to sleep. All of us felt bradycardia, an abnormally slow heartbeat, as well as hypothermia during that time. For years now, Spence has explained to interviewers, I have tried to explain these curious occurrences. I believe that the bradycardia and reduced crew reflexes are due to what is called gravitational time dilation, right? Gravitational waves, or varionia, emitted by the acceleration of UFO for takeoff and other movements, caused biochemical changes in the metabolism of the human body. This process occurs according to the theories of Niels Bohr and Albert Einstein. He concluded, whatever actually happened, it was experienced by more than one person that strange day in the Atlantic. Time will tell if any more evidence will ever be found of the bizarre happenings in this region of the ocean. In closing, what are your thoughts about the Bermuda Triangle? Is it disappearances due to inexperienced people, explosions due to overloaded cargo, a time slip or time warp, aliens, government top secret project, or even HARP testing? What do you think? I mean, what do you think would be those? You know, I mean, what do you think it could be a possibility of? Let me see here. I had another part here I was going to do for closing as well, and I'm trying to find it because my notes got a little. Okay. Yeah. Basically, what are your thoughts? I mean, what do you think it is? What do you think it is? Do you think it's all just a bunch of puppycock and there's a bunch of inexperienced idiots overloading ships, exploding them and whatnot, and just sinking them because they got too much metal ore on them? But then again, that can explain some of the disappearances, but it doesn't explain them all, does it? I mean, in all reality, it doesn't. And then what about the explanation for Columbus? What about Spence's? You know, them seeing the lights in the sky and they're moving around and this and that, you know, they're explaining the same thing. And then what about the whole time difference? Like the clock's changed and then you got a gyroscopic compass that's invulnerable to electromagnetic interference. But yet it was going crazy. How and why? It doesn't explain those aspects of it. Okay, let's just say maybe it was faulty equipment. Okay, maybe somebody's slacking off whenever they build it. Who knows? We can say that to be devil's advocate, right? How likely is that, though? You know, how likely is that? Anyways, you guys, this is the Trading Post, okay? Episode 12, Bermuda Triangle. I may do a second Bermuda Triangle. It may be mixed in, or I may just do it as Autech, okay? So you guys keep your eyes open for that, because I am going to do one specifically just on Autech. There's so much information. Bermuda Triangle is ridiculous. There was a lot on here. A lot. So I hope you guys are excited. I hope you guys had a good time on this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informational. And I hope it got your gears turning, right? So until the next one, y'all, live, laugh, and love. Live your life the way you see it fit. All right? See you later, family. Bye.